right, cool. Yeah. So what's your podcast going to be about?
It's gonna be mainly about and focused around sports, but uh, my family, like my uncle, was Ronnie Jones, and he was one of two House of Delegates of state of West Virginia. So, like my entire family is politic driven from like the core, and so I got a pretty good understanding of that. And I was an athlete my whole life, and we were going to focus on the sports, but right now it's kind of hard to get that started. So we wanted to start by pretty much branding myself and the other people that are going to run the podcast as being guests on shows, because there ain't no sports going on right now.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I just watched the what was it, the Packers Super Bowl the other night, like like rerun. I'm like, even when spoken pod, you're like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's just live sports carry a different energy than rewatching and a recorded sport. It's not the same feel.
Yeah, it's like I think I was watching some of the older NBA games. I was like, I looked at my dad. I was like, I think this team's gonna pull it out. He's like, how do you know? I was like, it's a rerun.
Yeah, the only thing going on in the sports, I don't know if you pay attention to any UFC or MMA, but
Yeah, I do.
Dana White is purchasing a private island to hold fights on. So anybody that has visa issues with the United States or during the coronavirus, like they can make their own land of laws up and continue to hold fights.
That's awesome. That is actually really, really awesome. I I don't think there's like with everything else, there's really nothing, with like the NFL and stuff like that. They could never do anything like that. In the NBA, they would be, because they're more political than the USA.
Yeah,
I think.
and sorry,
It's all
but
good.
they're more American driven.
Yeah,
So like the only sport that would really carry over to anywhere is football, and that's only to England, really. So
England and Mexico.
Yep, yeah, Mexico. Soccer is the only one that's universal other than MMA, really. So
Yeah, and like with soccer, you don't really have trouble getting those people over here because they're normally they're from England or from Germany, or they're not really from like these small, somewhat smaller countries over there.
yeah, it's kind of like ironic how I got my start into wanting to podcast and stuff, because I've just had a lot of connections from being an athlete into football, baseball, and MMA. And over the years, I've just found myself in the right situations in front of the right names to have conversations with. And I didn't realize that I was kind of interviewing them and having a conversation like on a podcast would be like with these people, until one of my buddies that is the tech guy for the show that we're going to be having was just like, dude, you're doing a podcast without recording. Like there's no reason you shouldn't be uploading these conversations, especially with some of the names that I've talked to. Like,
Yeah, of course, yeah. That's the real thing. That's the real beauty behind podcasting, because I didn't know I was doing it until I would go out with some guys, like after work and stuff like that, and people are the guys, me and all the guys would get a little buzz on, and they would be like, all right, well, half of them would leave, and then me and this one guy would just sit there, and he's like, you know what you should look into? You should look into podcasting. He's like, I'm like, what? I was like, it's basically what we're doing right now, just one-on-one talking.
yeah, it's
Like,
a crazy environment to be able to be like transparent and fully yourself, but still market and promote. Like it's weird.
oh yeah, it's promoting is like it's technically the easy part,
Oh
because
yeah,
it's like go on other people's podcasts. Like I was on this because I'm in like a podcast Discord group. I never talk to anyone in that like outside of the group. But if they say, "Hey, I'm looking for someone to interview," I'm like the first one to like answer. Be like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll do it."
Oh yeah, anytime you have a chance to get your name out there, there's no reason not to do that. And the Discord thing, I play Madden competitively, and I have for years. And they all want to start the Discord app, and you got to have this to play. And I would always drop out of leagues because I hate the mass flow of messages coming on that Discord app.
Oh yeah, I basically like if I'll listen to if they say everyone, but like I could like turn off all the notifications on days
You
that I
there?
just don't. Yeah, I'm right here. You here?
Not hear you.
Can't hear me? No.
There we go.
You good?
Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, but yeah, like yeah, you can turn off the notifications some days. Like if I'm off from like work or like this past weekend, I had a 3-day weekend, and yeah, I just turn off the notifications. I was like, I'm not doing anything.
Is the sound and good everything from my end? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Lost you again.
Oh, yeah. You good?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, cool.
Is that happening on my end?
I think so. Yeah, because it's like uh, everything's checking out on my end. Yeah. So, all right. You good, right?
Yeah, I've gotten lucky, not even realizing that I was podcasting to be in front of people like Forrest Griffin and Randy Couture at the Arnold Classic when I competed. It was like seeing them and then getting to compete in the Arnold and then running into them afterwards and asking, like it was at the time that Forrest Griffin was the UFC light heavyweight champion of the world. So it was just like I got to ask questions and I got it on camera, and then I showed friends years later and they were like, dude, you need to start a podcast. Like you're literally doing that just in a big arena around other people and you're just asking questions. It would just be a one-on-one in a podcast. So
Yeah, podcasting is really, really a crazy art that you know. I mean, I've been I've been a chef for all my life, and if someone would tell me, "Hey, you're going at 26 years old, you're gonna be podcasting, and it's going to be about video games and beer," I'd be like, "No." But like if I have like when I put like people on here and stuff like that, I go to what they're like because I'm very well rounded. I know a lot more than just beer and video games. So like sports is like up there. I'm very intelligent when it comes to like all different sports. My brother's just a soccer guru, and then I know a lot about hockey and football, and and then my and now I also got into UFC because of the Joe Rogan podcast.
yeah, that is the best podcast in the world. He's like the inspiration for every podcaster.
Yeah, I mean, I try to that's what I try to do because like his shows are basically like what I just said. Basically, it's all about comedy until he has that certain guest that's like out of the norm. Like
Yeah, that. I love watching his show because of that. Like he doesn't discriminate between like types of guests, and it just gives you so much more knowledge on everything else that's going on in the world.
yeah, like the Bernie Sanders one that was pretty good. And then he had the
Yeah,
one that was during the during the coronavirus. He had the pandemiologist or whatever you want to call him on there, and he was like, and he was talking about the coronavirus. I was like, oh shit, this is scary.
So, have you researched anything about Bill Gates and Event 201 leading with the coronavirus?
No, I have not.
Oh, that is a crazy, crazy thing that is like a conspiracy theory, but it's also all happened in facts. Like uh, in October, the United States government and Bill Gates held a meeting of like world leaders and powerful government leaders that was called Event 201. And it was in October of 2019. And he told and warned the world and these people at this meeting that there was going to be a pandemic of a virus that could possibly kill 65 million people in the year 2020. And he said he's done the numbers, the probability, like it's going to happen in the year 2020. Then when the coronavirus actually came out, like this is uh, there's a lot of rumors surrounding it that he patented the actual virus, the coronavirus, like the name of the virus. So therefore, in business rule, if we understand patents, if a cure comes out for the coronavirus, he makes billions off of the cure because of the patent on the virus. And then he stepped down as CEO of Microsoft and gave up his company. And then he came out, CNN just reported to me this morning on my phone that Bill Gates is in trial runs for a cure and a full vaccine for the coronavirus. So he, months later, created a cure for the patent disease that he has, and then will make billions off of selling the cure and billions off the patent because there is a cure.
That's crazy. Holy shit. Yeah, I didn't even know that. Damn, that's nuts.
Yeah, that is the things going on behind the scenes. And I was like, me and my wife were sitting here talking a month ago, and when he stepped down as CEO, and I was like, oh, I got to look into this. Like, so I just started reading and researching, and I was just like, this is real. Like, he stepped down as CEO and put a patent on the virus, waited months to see how the result of the media would take that and twist it. It didn't. He stayed out of the media, and then months later has a cure that is in test trials for it. It's just, it's all, it's all fishy.
That is crazy. That is legitimately crazy. Oh my god. Yeah, I did not hear any of that.
Yeah, that's because the media, the news stations, like they report shit to cause mass fear. Like like Dr. Drew on the Fighter and the Kid the other day, he was like saying like, yes, it's bad. Yes, people are dying. Yes, like it's as many as people as they say are testing positive for it. But what they're saying is, oh my God, 11,000 people more just tested positive for the virus than it already had. But they don't tell you that that's only because we're not testing everybody. Those people had it for as long as the other people had it. We just weren't able to test them until recently. So, but the nations are twisting it like it's continuing to spread and spread and spread. But really, the main portion of positive tests are people just having a chance to get tested yet, not continuing to spread like they're making it out to seem.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. Yeah, it's like us, and they've done a real good job trying to scare people in Jersey here, like because like we're like we're under quarantine, like, and we're, they're basically like 8 o'clock's our curfew. You gotta be in the house. If you're not essential, you gotta be in the house 8 o'clock. But
Yep.
most of the time you're like, like that's why all this hysteria is all about, because of the fact that of North Jersey. The only reason that it is, it's just so much more condensed up there. There's a bunch of people, and you get the travelers from New York and stuff. So like Newark and all that area up there is what is affecting the rest of like South Jersey, where I live. And around here we're not too bad. Like it's pretty low for our standards, because there's like in Camden County where I live, it's like we got like a couple. I think we have like 90 cases or something like that, which a population of 20,000 people, like.
Yeah, I live in a very small city and their population's under 10,000. It's like 8,000 people, and we only have like 6 confirmed cases in our county right now. But like they have totally wigged out and created this mass freak out of the public. Like we have 6 people in me that have it, and there's like we're not allowed out after 8 p.m. They even restricted if you do not live in the city limits of Weirton, West Virginia and Hancock County and have a West Virginia ID, you're not allowed to purchase alcohol in the state of West Virginia no more.
Oh,
Like
damn.
so they're like cutting off like the travel from state to state. Like they're like and to go into the conspiracy a little more, I was mapping this out like 2 weeks ago to my wife on a piece of paper. Like when they started this, I don't know if you've seen, like it was about 2 weeks ago, they decriminalized a bunch of laws, pretty much, like a bunch of crimes, like in Cincinnati and a couple other states or a couple other cities. They decriminalize crimes that were non-violent, like if it was a breaking and entering with no harm done to the victim, if it was minor assault and battery where both parties were able to walk away from the incident, if it was a narcotic charge. Cincinnati police and a city in South Carolina and a city in New York State all reported, like live on their news stations, that they wouldn't even send officers to respond to those crimes if they were called about them. So then that marks like that's obviously gonna, like, it doesn't matter how many good people there are in a state, that gonna make all the drug addicts, the crackheads, the meth heads, they're gonna see that as a field day. Because I grow up in, like, the city I live in is the death and the capital for narcotics, for pain pill use. Like it's the tri-state area, and we have the most deaths per capita more than any other place in the United States. And I personally, I was a drug addict for 6 years. I know people from my run of those 6 years that would see this as a field day to do crime and not bat an eye. So then the
Yeah.
conspiracy flicks in, where it's going to cause riots because
Right.
there's going to be so many people that are going to, and to see the layout of it, if they wanted to instinct martial law, like that's the conspiracy side of it. There's a city in LA, a city in South Carolina, in New York, and in Cincinnati. They all decriminalize these laws. If riots break out in those cities, and Trump already announced, this is one of the facts that backs it up. Trump already announced 2 or 3 days ago that he was sending 1,000 military personnel to the state of New York to control riots and stuff like that, or to the city of New York City to control riots. So if he puts these strategic groups of thousands of military soldiers in the city in LA that's decriminalized, Cincinnati, South Carolina, New York, and has like pretty much an army base of ready to go military personnel in all these cities to stop riots. They're going to have the personnel to lock down all of us under martial law, and 2, they're going to look like the good guys to the media and to the mass public, because they will use it as, we are controlling the riots so the good people, citizens, don't get robbed and hurt from the citizens that are going to riot. But in all actuality, they're taking full control.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's really nuts where it comes to, especially up there in New York. It's just been just
I
chaos.
have a I have a very good friend on Facebook. This is a shout out to him, Justice Para. He's a rapper, and he posted a video the other day, and it was like the epicenter of what's going on in Bronx, in the Bronx.
Yeah.
He's riding a bicycle right past the hospital, and there's no one outside. The lane they have, like where you're allowed to walk on the street, is caged in by fences, and there was no one walking. There was no one at the hospital. There was only police officers on the street. And then he added a little clip to it that, like, and it was the New York media and news stations like showing these videos of like people running through the streets on bicycles and cops trying to tackle them and all this crazy shit, and he's riding on a bike down the street, actually recording live on Facebook, going, where is all this? Like, this ain't even a real video.
Damn. Oh, wow.
So I don't even, I know it's a real pandemic and issue, but it's just crazy. To me, the big factor that stuck out to me is how quick life can change. Like, we can go from being free people that do whatever the hell we want to you're not allowed to leave your house. Like, that is a scary thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, how quickly, restaurants, bars, breweries, no matter what, go from, being able to have people to have their bars and breweries and, restaurants all filled, and now, they're empty. And now they're going to have to, I don't think it's ever going to get back to the way it really was for a while, especially with the spaces, with people spacing out. You're probably now restaurants and all the bars and stuff like that are going to have to space out a lot more. But yeah, this is definitely not going to get back to the way it was for definitely a while with all the restaurants and bars. I know they're going to be, now they're going to have to be spotlessly clean, and now they're going to have to probably hold half the amount of people that they were before this all came about.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to kill the little man in the chain, in the food chain of business, like 100%. Like, I know people that have lost their businesses, local businesses, and there's no way like a bar ran by like a local man with no real like fund to back his business up. There's no way he's going to get the kind of business even after all this. People are going to be so wary and nervous to go out in groups again at a bar. Like, they're like, it's going to change like the landscape of how we live day to day.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, just the way, like, I remember, because I don't, I'm not, the bar scene's not for me. I normally just go to a lot of breweries, and I'm just like, now hesitant. I'm probably going to be a little bit hesitant, when we're even allowed to go out again. I'm going to be like, all right, well, I know breweries aren't really that crowded Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, but I'm not going to go out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because I know, people go out normally on those days.
Exactly. I'm not someone that really goes out like that, but I've already thought about that with events, and like I love traveling to go to the UFC live events. I've been to 4. I love going to gyms where there, a seminar is put on by someone that actually knows what they're talking about. And now I'm, oh, that's a group of like 200 people. Like, like, is it really worth the knowledge we're about to have to risk health? Like, even
Yeah.
months from now, it's a crazy thing, but it helped me mentally a lot, because I was working a bullshit 9 to 5 job that was totally replaceable, and it didn't mean anything to me. And I listened to Joe Rogan all the time say, like, that's the kind of job you got to have, because if you want to be successful, you got to walk the fuck away from it when you're ready. And
Yeah.
the lockdown, I was just sitting here, and my work, we're not an essential job, like, and
Yeah. Right.
but they wanted to keep us open. And I have a 2-month-old baby, And my wife was like, you don't need to be going to work. What if you bring it here? We can live with it. He will die. So, and I was like, okay, well, and then it kind of got me thinking on the Joe Rogan mindset of, you don't have to, you have to keep those jobs that are replaceable so you can walk away from them when you're ready to chase what you want in life. And it just like, I sat there for like 3 or 4 days. And then I was like, you know what? And I woke up one morning, I grabbed my phone, I texted my boss, and I was like, just go ahead and you're going to have to replace me. I'm not going to be back in. And I immediately signed up for school, and I start in my first class May 4th. I get the equipment May 3rd, like in the mail. It's all like, and I got engaged, got married, like, and it's all happened
Oh,
since
congrats.
year. So it's just like, this lockdown has been crazy physically, but mentally it has made me really reevaluate my life and see like, oh, like success ain't that hard. You got to just work for it. You have to get off your ass, and you can't go be that 9 to 5 employee and go, oh, this is my life, and accept that. Like, if you want to be successful, you have to be able to walk away from those type of things and take a leap of faith, take the risk that will push you towards what you actually want in life. Otherwise, you're just going to live every day being miserable and taking orders from someone that knows 50% of what you actually know. It's crazy that that's the world we live in, that the normal person will accept that life and just be happy being saying, oh, I don't make minimum wage, though I make $10 an hour. Like, no, I don't care what I make. Materialistic items are nothing to me. I want to be happy at the end of this. And, like, the way to do that is to have those types of jobs in that life that you can walk away from and really do what you want to.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like when you really think about, I've ran a couple kitchens, and I've ran into those guys that are just okay with just comfortable with the way that their life is, making barely passable money, and and just being like, all right, well, I'm gonna disrespect you because I don't like that you're higher than me, but I'm not gonna do anything to make myself higher. And I'm like, dude, I can, and most of the guys that I've worked with, have gone on to do better things. I had a dishwasher who I moved up to cooking with me, and then he went off and did. He's now one of the chefs at the Chart House in Philly. He's like one of my greatest success stories, and I worked with him hand in hand every day, just trying to make him better, and he wanted to learn. But there's a lot of guys out there that are just ridiculously just calm with the fact that they're not making any money, that they just, that they're like, they're not chasing a dream. They're just okay with just being that 9 to 5, 8 to 4, dishwasher on a daily basis.
We need
Like,
those type of people, though,
yeah,
because
I'm not saying
without
it's a
those
bad
type
thing.
of
I'm just saying,
people,
it's,
all
you
those
know,
type of people, me and you wouldn't recognize that we're not comfortable with it, because it's
yeah,
those people that put up a mirror to us and go, is that me? Is that like me every day? Because I do the same thing as him. Like, and
yeah,
then it just progresses that mindset.
yeah. It really just helps you figure out that that's not what I want in life.
Yeah, I've been
And
around so many people like that.
yeah, I've watched so many corporate chefs just kill themselves with alcohol and and drugs and end up in jail and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't want that. I was like, that's not gonna be me. And when you think about it, with all of us that are in the cooking field, we all have that same motivator. And it's, for me, it was Anthony Bourdain, and he was like, you always got to be bigger than the four walls in your kitchen. Just be bigger than that. And I was like, yeah, that's right. That's what I want to do. I want to be something
I'm a
better.
pitch. I'm a pitch an idea on there for you right now. No copyrights. You can have it, but if you ever get to the point where you can have guests in person and on camera with your podcast, you should start a sideshow. Since you're a chef and you can cook, like, food is one of the most viewed things on YouTube and podcasts and everything. Anything that has to do with food is so popular on the internet for some reason. You
Yeah,
should do a show where you invite a guest to your studio or whatever, and you cook like a homemade meal or whatever, and have it sat down, and you have a conversation with them, kind of like the food truck based diary like that Brennan Schaub does, but it would be a way to brand yourself in your cooking career, also get to the masses that like are all watching food related subjects, and it would be a cool, unique idea that is original.
yeah, true. Yeah, it's kind of like what should I call it? Bert Kreischer does Something's Burning, or he used to do it. I don't know if he still does it, but that's what he used to do. He used to invite comedians over his house and make like bacon cheeseburgers and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, the grill and stuff. He would always make the burgers.
Yeah,
Um,
or he made the one time he made I think it was the Wawa apple curler or whatever, and he messed it up completely. And it was so funny because he had to dip in oil, and I think that was the episode he took off his shirt, and then the oil started splattering on him, and I was like, oh god. I was like, why are you dipping stuff in oil after you took off your shirt? Like, it's like cooking bacon.
yeah, that's um I watch a lot of his. Bert isn't one of the ones that I really know a bunch about, but that group of people is pretty much my podcast that I listen to and am into. Like the Andrew Santinos, Bobby Lee, Joe Rogan, Tom Segura, Brian Redband, Tony Hinchcliffe, all of them, where what I do every day since the quarantine started.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Rogan came out with a lot when the quarantine first started. He had one with Bert, then he went with Tom, and then after that he went to um who was it? Brian Callen, which
Yeah, that's another one. I'm a big fan of Callen.
I love Brian Callen. I loved his he has that the stand up Complicated Apes on Amazon
Yeah,
Prime. Oh yeah, that one's like that's
yeah, I've
probably top
watched.
10 comedy specials. I love that one.
I love the fact that like I watched the fighter and the kid lead up to that release of that special, and Brendan and everybody kept trying to get him to call it something else, and it's losing my brain right now. But uh, it was something hilarious, and I cannot catch it now. But he wasn't going to call it Complicated Apes at first, and it was such a good name, but he was worried about offending people. And he's one of my all-time favorite comics. He's so good. Actually, me and my wife just sat down and rewatched The Hangover last night just to see his part in The Hangover, because I was like, this is this dude we listened to on the podcast, and he acts like an Armenian, like, and you
Yeah,
can't even tell.
yeah, it's actually insane. He's definitely top 10 for me, and uh I always listen to like Brett Morin. He's a upcoming guy, but he's super hilarious. He's got a special on Netflix.
I think right now my two favorite specials on Netflix are the most recent Joe Rogan one, and then the Louis C.K. one. Like he is a fucked up person, but if you can look past all the shit that he did, like, he is a one of the top, probably 5 to 10 all-time great comics.
Yeah, I like Bert Kreischer's Hey Big Boy is definitely top for me, and then Tom Segura's new one Ball Hog. Holy
Yeah,
crap!
everybody loves that ball hog story. I see that it's like trending hardcore right now.
Yeah, and he says a lot of like stuff that you would like. A lot of times there, like the way I know when he came to New Jersey, he did kind of like the set list for Ball Hog in New Jersey. It didn't take as well. So when I saw him do it in Austin, Texas, I was like, oh, this might be a really good place for him to do it. Not not like in Jersey here, where sometimes people get a little bit offended, and I was like, but they were like the perfect audience for him to record. I was like,
Oh yeah.
thank God, because I was laughing my ass off. It was him that came to Jersey. It was him and Ryan Sickler, and
Oh,
Sickler
that's a
was
good set.
hilarious.
I wish I was. I get so jealous of hearing of these lineups at the Comedy Store in LA. Like, like you'll see a tour and go to a tour, and it's like Joe Rogan with special guests, Brian Callen or whatever.
Yeah,
Or usually it's Andrew Santino lately. But um, then you'll hear of them talk about the Comedy Store, and just on like a regular Tuesday night where tickets are like 15-20 bucks, you get to go see Chris D'Elia, Ron White, Joe Rogan, Andrew Santino, Bobby Lee. Like, it's crazy the lineups there. That would be like amazing to get to see all in one line, like one couple hours of a night.
yeah. The one day I looked at them. I looked at the store, and it was Chris D'Elia, Brent Morin, um, Mark Norman. Uh, I think it was Tom Segura, and then Burt Kreischer was the closer. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's an all. That's like all my favorite comics in just one swing
Yeah,
in
and
one
then
seating.
Joey Coco Diaz always goes and does the store, and like he's a hell of a fucking actor and comedian too. That's probably one of my top all time favorite comedians.
Yeah, I was just watching. I think it was Spider-Man 2, and I was like, and then Spider-Man gets like thrown into like a train, and then the citizens start standing up for Spider-Man, and one of the citizens was Joey Diaz. I was like, yo, I was like, I never knew that before. I never saw him being in there.
Yeah. Until I got into comedy, that's funny. I never realized it was him in The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler. And then once I got heavy into comedy like 3 or 4 years ago, and I found Joey Diaz and I started watching The Church of What's Happening Now, I was like, no way, I know that dude from that movie. And it was just hilarious to me learning kind of what podcasts do is like introduce you, and you really kind of get to feel like Joey Diaz or whoever you're listening to, and then you see him as that role on The Longest Yard. It was just like, it makes it that much funnier of a movie to me.
Oh yeah, I've been watching I always watch his if he ever does like for a while there he was doing This Is Not Happening. All of his This Is Not Happening stories are like ridiculous. Like he was talking about his mom on one of them. I was like, yo, this motherfucker had a really, really, really different type of life. You're like the way he describes everything is just insane.
Yeah, he is so good at picking a story from 1974 or whatever and telling and describing it like it happened yesterday, and in a funny ass way.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, he's he's probably you got to give him like top 5 storytellers because just like you said, it's not like he picks stories that happen, you know, maybe a month ago, 2 months ago. No, this is like years.
Yeah, and he just keeps them coming and coming and coming. That's like his entire monologue of stand up is just stories from his life, and he never fucking runs out, and they're never anything relatively recent either.
Yeah, oh yeah. And then he's like, I remember that's like one of my favorite like Bert stories that he told on. I think he told it on Rogan. He went to Miami with Diaz when he was coming up as an up and coming comic, and he was like, yeah, I went in there, I went into the whatever comedy places in Miami, and he was like, and I bombed so hard, and then all of a sudden it was my time was up. I get off stage, and he just looked at Joey, and Joey's like, I got this. Goes out there, and he's like, how's it going, motherfuckers? And the place just goes bananas. I'm like, whoa, like, and that's kind of funny how to look at comedy, and different, like, the different people that like different comics, just because, you know,
Energy.
up your up whatever area that you're in,
Oh
Now
yeah, that.
Bert, even though Bert grew up in Florida, you know, Miami is Joey's domain.
Oh, 100%, because Bert fits like the typical like Virginia, West Virginia, Ohio type looking guy, and then Joey Diaz fits that Cuban community that runs Miami.
Yeah, 100%. Like, but it's just kind of funny to see, like even in like I don't like Mark Norman, like he gets around, but he's, from the southern Louisiana. You wouldn't know from from the way he tells comedy, though, because he's like, he'll take multiple shots at like the area that he grew up in.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people don't get love from where they are from because those people in that specific area know them before they were successful and famous. So they're like, "That's that little bitch." Like
Yeah,
that ain't someone that they view as like this great successful story. And no, they're like, "Oh, that's little Marky from down the road." Like, and that's one thing I love. But yeah, you're 100% right. Mark Norman seems like he's from New York City because you got Theo Vaughn from Louisiana, and totally two different demographics.
oh yeah, definitely. And I remember, like, Mark Norman. He's just a he's just a hilarious guy, because like he talks about like all the, like, the stuff that you're not supposed to talk about. Like, he's like, oh yeah, PC. He's like, oh yeah, you guys ever notice some demographics you can't talk about PC culture? And he's like, like, if you have you know you don't have black friends, you have African American, you have this, you have that. He's like, I don't have white friends, I have relatives. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, that subtle shot to like the area that he grew up in.
Yeah, he's. I love comics like that. Like one of my favorite comics that does what you're talking about is Andrew Schultz. He goes at everything you're not supposed to go at.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've heard of Andrew Schultz. I think I've ran into his comedy a couple times on like YouTube and stuff.
He has a really good podcast with Charlemagne the God called Brilliant Idiots, and they have a lot of good guests on it. Very
Nice.
good podcast. And he just, his comedy is literally that. Like, if the Me Too movement is doing something, like, he'll go out there and bag on the Me Too movement. Like why, like, people will be like, oh, this is an issue, like the Me Too movement is stepping up, and his angle of a joke would be like, why are y'all standing behind the Me Too movement? Because rape has been going on for 500 years. The Me Too movement is 10 years old. So
Yeah,
why are all these people, like, until Prophet was in this conversation, they didn't give a fuck about these women getting raped. Like, and he'll go like that route with it, and it's just, I love his comedy.
yeah. It is insane with, like, these with I because that's what I just love. I love these comics to just like take the subtle shot and stuff like that, because it's not hurting anyone. It's just good comedy at this point. Like, you know Bert had the best one in his new special. He was like, I heard this. It was about him, and he was talking to a little black kid that worked for Starbucks, and he's like, oh yeah, and he went up there, and how Starbucks always talks to you, they're like, room for cream, and he always just made black jokes to him. And then the last one, he's like, He's like, rooting for cream. He's like, no, I don't want my coffee to know its father. And then all of a sudden, the lady behind him goes, what did you just say to him? The like white lady. And he's like, I told him I didn't want my coffee to know his father. And he looks at the black kid and he just goes, that's the problem with cream, and just walks away.
The shit people can say because they're famous that we couldn't get away with in real life.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I was like, if I said that at a Starbucks, I'd probably get ganged up on. I'd probably be like shit.
100%.
I'd
Like
be
it's
in the trash dumpster at like like right after that.
yeah, it's crazy that like your notoriety carries the law and public perception in a different way. It's a weird thing that a comic that's known well can go up on stage and say something right out 100% racist, and thousands and thousands of people will laugh at it. And then if I reworded it and said the same thing to a friend about the joke, and a black guy or an Asian or whatever the joke was about overheard me, I would be considered racist. Like it's a crazy world where some people get off on saying the same things that others wouldn't get. It would literally, like, I know people that would shoot people over some racist stuff. Like, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. This is it's getting to the point where you really don't like. I mean, I don't agree with what people say. When they say something that is obviously racist and meant to hurt someone, that ain't right. But like when you're getting to a point now where you can't even like a random person can't crack a joke every now and then, like that's a little much.
Yeah, like the world is so sensitive, and people don't understand, especially with men, groups of friends. Like, we should be able to gather with our friends, and maybe a racist joke will come out, but it would never, like, if you're the type of person that I am, I would never carry myself like that in public, and that stuff doesn't get out to hurt people. Like, it's specifically to be comedic with a friend that I know would take it comedic way, and then run with that. It's crazy the domino effect that could happen. Like, so I've just learned to say nothing about like I just bring up race and let everyone else talk.
I know, right? Yeah, it's insane. It really is. But anyway, I think that should be it.
Yeah,
We talk. We're yeah. So yeah, it was definitely a good talking to you. What's your podcast on be named?
We not sure on a name yet. I'll get that out there if you're interested in following me or adding me. If you listen to this podcast with Matt, add me at Facebook, on Facebook at Mike Harris from Weird West Virginia. Follow me on Instagram at The Toking Hippie. That is TOKINGHIPPIE. And there's a lot of good content on there, and a lot of good photography and family stuff and whatever you're into. Pretty much that's it. To stay tuned. If you in a couple months down the road, if you want to do another episode once I got shit up and running, and then I can have you on as a guest on mine, we can go ahead and run that back if you want.
Yeah, that definitely. Yeah, definitely. I'll do it. I'll definitely. We'll be in contact. I'll definitely get you back on here in a couple months or whatever you want.
All right, man. Thank you for having me on and giving me the opportunity. I appreciate it, and it was awesome getting to talk with a like-minded person. It was easy.
Yeah, no, it's like this is what really podcasting is about, and I've talked to several podcasters, and I'm like, well, this definitely doesn't feel. It just feels like a normal conversation. Like,
Yeah, we should be able to have a conversation like a friend and not worry about what people are going to view or how you're going to view it. We just got to be able to roll with it. And I feel like that's how this went. So hopefully we get each other on again, and I'll get you on mine next month.
Yep. All right, man. Peace out.
All right, later.